Hey guys, our group, which is Group 7, was assigned to tackle the Unit 11, the data collection. These lessons we will discuss are quite important, especially when you are planning or doing some researches. So without further ado, let me introduce myself to you. I am Jodeline M. Relator, and I'm about to discuss the lesson 1, which is entitled Features and Structures of a Survey. And I'm with my 3 other co-members because this unit is composed of 4 lessons. So bear with us, guys. Okay, let's start with the questions. Do you guys ever wondered why we are required to research when we are doing or writing an academic text or academic paper? Or think, what is the best replacement if we can find information online through researching? And then there is a solution for that, and it is through survey. So, what is a survey? Survey, it is a method of data collection where the researchers provides people with a questionnaire. So it is clear in the description that a survey is a data collection. It serves as an instrument of the researcher to have information to the person they are asking. It is also like an examination because it examines, it inspects a people or a large group of people in a certain place. Example ng mga dinagko nga survey is kanatong ginatawag nga census. Diba it happens yearly. Naimatos yung balay to ask some question like sa inyong condition, status sa life, or sa mga hanap buhay ninyo. And then also kining POPCOM, Commission of Population. Kasi mag-survey sila about sa pamilya, kung okay pa ba ang population sa iyong place. So, ingana siya mga example sa survey. Unso pa man ha? Okay, I'll use na lang my experience when I was in grade 10. I don't know if all of us experienced this, but when I was in grade 10, we are required to have some research about a common problem in our school. So, mo to nagbuhat mig mga topics and then nag-provide mig mga questionnaires sa mga students nga naka-assign sa amo. Much for that about sa survey, no? Unta na nasabta na gamay unsa ang survey. So, let's proceed to the purpose of a survey. So, kini sa day ang survey is nasa siya tumong guys. Dili kay mangutana lang ka sa kung gusto nimo, dili lang kay buhat-buhat ang question kay tungod ginahan ka. Lain kayo no, murag way point if ingana imo ang ginabuhat. So, the purpose of survey, like what I've said earlier, that through survey, it can help us to gather information. Also, in conducting a survey, it is an unbiased approach to decision making. Diba, if magbuhatag survey, makabalo taon sa ang response ato sa mga respondents. Dili kay mag-answer ato dito, pinataka ra. So, diba, dili reliable ang ato ang survey. So, useless kaya pa natong survey kung dili nga na ato ang ginabuhat. Next is the different ways that a survey can be given. So, dili lang di ay kanang sa through face-to-face lang, through personal, mag-survey, dagang pa siya mga klase. Number 1 is the postal, the internet survey, face-to-face interview, and the telephone interview. So, kining upat natunga siya into 2, which is the self-administered and interview-administered. So, ang kining postal o internet na belong siya sa self-administered because mao ni siya mga type nga questionnaire na pwede ansiran in your own. Kanang kita lang good, kanang atoa lang sarili, banto gani siya gitawag og self-administered. While kining face-to-face and internet interview are the interview administered. So kini siya, ang mga questions ani are more complex as the interviewers can clarify them. And also, the presence of an interviewer may pressure the respondents to answer appropriately rather than truthfully. So, di ba kita if interviewin ta, makulbaan man jud ta. So, kung unsa tong magawas ng bapa mo na jud to. Unlike sa kanang through survey lang sa postal or sa internet surveys, so it has more chances na maka-answer ta truthfully. Even though that these 4 differ on the design of the question that they are giving, but they are tend to use the same type of question. Basta kay survey siya guys, mauna na siya. The next one is how can information be gathered using a survey? So because we're conducting a survey, so dapat naadyo tay mga nakahanda nga questionnaire. So naatay two types of questionnaire which is the structured question and the non-structured question. So let me differentiate these two types para dili mo malibog or para dili kay stress sa inyo no. So the structured or the quick response question as also two types, which is the basic structured and the rating and ranking questions. So let's start with the basic one. Basic, because of the word basic, so meaning simple ra siya. It is much simpler to answer because this type of questionnaire have already offered some choices for the respondents para pilian nila. And also the fact that is simple, so it is not time consuming guys. So mas dali siya sa mga respondents na ansiran dili kay maglisod-lisod pa sila to think of an idea on sa ilang i-answer. So ing ana siya tinuod ra jud siya nga basic kay nana siya mga choices. Like sa inyo makit-an dara karon na tay one example of basic structured question. So the question is, how much time do you spend on homework in a day? Then the interviewers are already given the choices. So mamili ra ka dara if pila ka oras. Like for example, 1 hour. So you will put mark sa 1 hour or less. So ingana siya ang basic structure guys. Easy ra jud siya. And guys, don't forget that this type of questionnaire is best when you already know or understand the possible responses of the respondent. O like dili na nimo needs ila ang mga thoughts or new idea gikan sa ilaha. So, gamitan nimo na ang basic structured. Just remember the word basic because it is simple and common siya nga questionnaire. Next is the rating and ranking question. So, kining duha is very familiar to us students because this type of questionnaires are mostly mo appear ni siya sa itong mga textbook, activities in schools, or kanang sa mga self-evaluation good guys like rating, rate 1 to 5 imuhang self-confidence, ana. So because these two have differences, so let me explain first the rating before the ranking. So kining rating is a questionnaires that ask respondents to explain the degree in which they feel about a certain topic. So for example, na may gitan-aw nga movie, di ba? Ang ubang mga kuno na teachers ato maghatag sila mga ngana kung nalipay ba ta sa movie. So mo to i-rate nimo, rate from satisfied to unsatisfied, mga ingana. So like pud anang sa akong example dara sa nakabutang kay please describe how you felt about the most recent school field trip. So, i-rate nimo unsa imong na-feel. Unsatisfied ba ka? Somewhat satisfied, satisfied, very satisfied, or sobra juga ka satisfied. So, asa man dara Then, next is the ranking. Pasensya kayo guys, nasaba ang iro to. So, proceed na ta sa ranking. Kining ranking is somehow similar lang pud sila ni rating. Pero kini, because of the word rank, it means chronologically arranged. Like from the least to greatest, from 1 up to 10. So, ing ana ang ranking. Lahi ra siya sa rating. Just like in the example on your screen. So it indicates that please rank the following school-wide activities in order of reference with 1 being most favorite and 4 being your least favorite. So mamili ka dara sa mga given choices. And also example of this is you're going to rate your most favorite teacher. So, ang katong pinaka-favorite nimo, but ka nimo siya og 1 para mag-describe na mo to siya imong favorite. Then, sunod-sunod na siya antod no 2, 3, 4 to 5, mo ikaw bahala. That's the characteristics of ranking mga classmates. And also, segue lang na ako na ang kining type of question mao ni siya amo ang gigamit sa research paper sa grade 10 namo. Next is We are on our last 5 slides or 3 slides, I think, I don't know. Basta hapit na ta mahuman. The last structure of question is the non-structured question. It is also called an open-ended question, sorry. It is called as the open-ended question daw. So, malinaw na sa pangalan pa lang na non-structured tas open-ended pa jud, it is already understandable that the respondent should write their own responses without asking, seeking, or depending on the interviewer. Yung ano ang open-ended question, guys. We have one example of open-ended question in your screen right now, like, what did you like the best about the school fair that was held last week? So, on opinion nimo nangutan na ang interviewer about what you like the best on the school fair. So, write nimo answer nimo dara. Another example is, why did you decide to sign up for the school fair committee? So, gipangutana ka, why? Then, you are free to explain because it is an open-ended question. Guys, take note that non-structured question is ideally used when you are not sure of the respondent's answer and also when you wanna know their idea or thoughts. Then, gamitin mo yung non-structured. Unlike sa structure kasi, di ba, may choices siya, may option siya. But this open-ended is free. Okay guys, before I will end this lesson, I want you to know, di ba niyan ko ganina data non-structure question didn't offered answer choices, but there are some instances na may mga given choices ang non-structured question, and this type of question called the partially structured question. So partial meaning dili pa siya final, and I mean partial pa lang ang list sa mga answer of choices. That's why may other na nakalagay dyan sa ibaba. Diba makikita niyo dyan? Meaning ana that even though there are choices, it is also open-ended. Kay open magyapon ng interviewer sa imuhang mga possible response atong interview. So that is what we call the partially structured. Yes! Man na dyan guys. Mana ato ang discussion about the lesson 1, which is entitled The Feature and Structure of a Survey. Tapos, na ako'y mga questions diri to test yourself is nabajud mo yung nakatunan sa ako ang ginaistorya. So guys, I'm sorry if medyo katulugan akong tingog or hilom akong tingog because it's already 12 midnight. So sabda na lang guys if hinay akong tingog. So okay, if okay na akong discussion, if naka-answer mo na akong given question, then thank you guys for listening. Then to wrap them all sa mga discussion, makita nyo sa yung screen karon. So guys, I hope that you've learned something from me. I hope that you have new knowledge about some discussion. Thank you guys. Bye-bye. Let my 3 other co-members discuss the 3 remaining lessons for you guys. Let's rock. Yeah. Pasensya na. God bless. Salamat. I need to sleep na.
Good day everyone. I am Angel Heart Sarabia. The lesson 2 is all about designing a survey. So the objectives in this lesson, we should be able to do the following. Identify the qualities of a good survey questionnaire. The second one is design a survey questionnaire. When we do a survey, we should have qualities of a good questionnaire. A good questionnaire should be valid, reliable, clear, interesting, and succinct. Uunahin natin ang valid. A valid questionnaire should ask for precisely what it intends to learn. So, kailangan tiyak at tumpak. In other words, the question should be written in a way that the respondent will understand what the objective of the question is. So, it must be as specific na maintindihan ng respondent ang iyong ipinapahiwatig, the goal or the objectives of the question. To do this, the questionnaire should be reviewed by an expert on the topic during a pilot test. For example, the target respondent is a person with disability or PWD. Then we should check with a PWD if ang ating mga katanungan ay may kahulugan at naiintindihan. Any clarification should be made hanggang sa malinaw na mauunawaan ang tanong at then it can be valid. So, the second one is the reliable. A reliable questionnaire should yield generally the same answer if the same question is repeatedly posed to the same respondent within a short amount of time. So, the questions are the same. Kailangan pareho din ang sagot dahil ipinaulit lang ito sa parehong respondent. It's just like you perform a retest. Means, ilang beses na ipinaulit, more than once na, kailangan i-check ito ng mabuti. Why it has a differences between the two answer if the question are the same. Because it could be because the questionnaire are unclear or the instruction are vague. The third one is interesting. An interesting questionnaire is more likely to be completed by the respondent, thus providing a higher response rate. An interesting questionnaire have interesting questions that the respondent can relate to it and he or she can complete the answer of the question. If you are a researcher, you need to put an effort in making a question. Hindi kay basta ka na lang gagawa ng katanungan na hindi naman relate sa kanila. Kailangan mo mag-isip ng mabuti and he or she should understand your objectives of the question and arrange into logical sequence. The last one is succinct. Succinct questionnaire asks questions that are straight to the point and only answer the research objectives. Ang mga tanong na hindi na connected sa iyong research should be excluded. But some researchers tend to cast the net wider, asking more questions so they can collect more data or information. Even the information is directly relevant to research or not. Pero mangyayari lang ito kapag hindi niya alam ang kanyang layunin or goal. You should be careful. Asking too many questions, it becomes too lengthy and difficult to complete. Kasi nga, masyado nang mataas. And the respondent is nahihirapan na rin silang sumagot. Move forward to designing a questionnaire. Dependent and independent factors. As mentioned in the previous lesson, setting the objectives of your survey is always the first thing you do when you are preparing a survey questionnaire. Once you have your objectives, you also have to make sure that these are aligned with your research question. You must also take note of the dependent and independent factors you intend to investigate. So, ano nga pala ang ibig sabihin ng dependent at independent? So, independent, the variable depends on other factors that are measured, while the independent variable is the variable that changes or control and to have a direct effect on the dependent. So, example, what are the biggest distractions that prevent students in the senior high school from studying at home? So, we should begin with initial background research to get information. So, you can ask in your survey what students do at home. Once you have done by a survey, so the independent factor are the forms of distraction like gadgets, because this is what changes the gadgets. So, while the dependent variable is the amount of time spent studying. Asking the right questions. Once you have established your question, objectives, and factors, it is time for you to design the question in such a way that it is valid and reliable. So, means valid, it is kailangan specific or clearly understood, and it's about the accuracy of a measure. While the reliable, it is the test, retest reliability. Also about the consistency of a measure. So the researcher have to brainstorm and compose with the preliminary question. Structured or non-structured questions. Decide using objectives and factors if you'll be using structured question, non-structured questions, or a combination of both. The refresh your memory. So, structured question offer a set list of items, while non-structured question are open-ended and ginaalaw ang respondents to write their own answer. So, if you choose structured question, if you are already confident that your range of answer is well known at gusto mong mag-focus doon sa answer. But in non-constructive question, if you are still unsure of information, so hindi ka pa talaga sigurado sa mga information, so and would like to still explore through survey. Options. When using structured questions, the options given to the respondents for each question should be exhaustive as possible. So to ensure the respondents can pick an option, so preliminary research and analysis is important to create the list of options. When asking a factual question of subjective question, it is important to include don't know as one of the answer. So, hindi naman talaga lahat ng respondent ay kayang sagutan ang lahat ng question. So, they have option to choose. But if you do not provide those options, you are forcing your respondent to answer by taking a guess, and which would not be an accurate. Filtering. Some questions in survey questionnaire don't have to be answered by the respondents depending on the information they provide or option they choose in a previous question. So, filtering is used to guide the respondents to answer only the question, which is typically yes or no, that are relevant. But you need to avoid filtering too much, and para hindi ma-confuse ang respondents, like you have followed up if he or she answered yes and you have followed up a question which is it makes the questionnaire too complicated. So, order of questions. The order of the questions should follow a logical sequence. A common rule is to start with a simple question before moving on the more complicated ones. So, generally, we can start the social demography, which your age, sex, etc. If you include personal questions such as household income, education level, and you need to explain to the respondent why it is kailangan isali ang personal information by making a general statement. Double-barreled question. One mistake to avoid is asking a double-barreled question. Avoid asking two things in one question. This will make it more difficult for you to interpret and analyze the data you've collected later on. So, example. So, have you ever stopped studying to check your phone or play a video game? So, di ba? Two things in one question. So, kailangan natin sila i-divide. So, dito, have you ever stopped studying to check your phone? Yes or no? And then, ikalawa, have you ever stopped studying to play a video games? So, ambiguous question. Avoid ambiguous question and be specific as possible when asking a question. So, for example, terms such as seldom, sometime, and often may mean different thing to different people. So keep questionnaire items short, like less than 20 words. So while reviewing your question, we ask ourselves, is this question clear? Can it be more specific? So instead of you should be avoid in ambiguous questions, so we must be more specific. So example is, how often you visit a doctor when you had a fever in the past year? Never, 1 time, 2 to 3 times, 4 to 5 times, more than 6 times. Keep analysis in mind when preparing your survey questionnaire. Always remember that the data you collect here will have to be analyzed afterward. So, for example, one of your factors for your research is age. So, if your objective for asking the age is to find out the average of your respondents, then your question should ask the exact age. What is your current age? Afterward, you collect the data from the survey, and then you have to analyze it. So, final touch of your questionnaire is to fix its format. So, kailangan natin ang questionnaire ay dapat is fixed to its format. In this important because the appearance of the questionnaire may decide whether or not the respondent is going to finish filling it up. So, the relevant is for postal survey. Relevant siya for postal survey. Ang title ay kailangan ay nasa center talaga. At it should be highlighted. So, you should give a hint to the main objective or the goal of the research. Possible dapat is i-divide ang questionnaire into section according to sa iyahang content. So, kailangan mong i-include a cover letter stating your objective. Kung ano ang yung goal mo while you conduct this study. Affiliation, so dapat sa questionnaire state mo how you are going to use information that you will gather through the survey. You need to ensure the confidentiality. So, pilot test. Holding a pilot test is a crucial step in designing of a questionnaire before you start using it to collect data. So, this can help to find the flaws kung ano ang mali sa questionnaire in terms of content or your mistakes in terms of content, grammar, and format. First, pwede tayong mag-ask sa teachers, classmates, family, or friends their perspective kung ano ang pananaw nila sa ating questionnaire and their comments. So for those questions may be confusing or sensitive, it is important to ask the respondents to comment specifically or exact talaga during a pilot test para malaman talaga natin. So as the wrap up of this lesson, a good questionnaire is valid, reliable, clear, interesting, and succinct. The research of questions, survey objectives, and independent and defendant factors should be clarified before designing a survey. So the third one is consider testing the validity and reliability of your questionnaire by conducting pilot tests and asking for a specific feedback or grammar, content, and format.